Hello, everybody. We're here today. It's just so exciting. We're going to talk with a couple of authors, John and Charlotte Stuart. And they're the person that's actually going to talk to them the most is Chris Bieker. Now, y'all probably know her, maybe not on YouTube, but here we do. She's a long member of the Inland Northwest Writers Guild and very active. And she's going to be our host today. And she's a mystery writer. She's already got 3 books released out into the world, and her books are excellent. Folks in the group that have read that will tell you that. So I'm so happy that Chris could be here to talk with our authors and tell you what's going on in award land for one, right? And so go ahead, Chris, you take it over.
Well, thanks, Linda. I'm really honored to introduce Charlotte and Don Stuart. I knew Don years ago when we worked together, and he and Charlotte are a married couple from the Seattle area who've written together and separately for almost the past decade. Most of their work is fiction, mysteries, and thrillers, and many of those take place here in the Pacific Northwest or in Southeast Alaska. And earlier, Don also wrote and published a number of nonfiction books related to his legal and lobbying careers. But between the two of them, they've written and published almost 30 books. And if I'm wrong, because it could be more, but I counted up about 30. Much of their experience has been with small traditional publishers, and many of these books have been finalists or won awards in such contests as the Chanticleer International Book Awards, the American Book Fest's International Book Awards, Global Book Awards, and more. And recently, Don and Charlotte switched to self-publishing for their most recent book, Midnight for Justice, which they wrote together. They published it this year, and Midnight for Justice made the Chanticleer Clue shortlist, was an International Book Awards finalist, and is a finalist for the Nancy Pearl Award, which will be announced later this month. And they've agreed today to share their thoughts on entering contests because that's something that this group has indicated an interest in. And they will also spend some time speaking about a recent change that they've made that has helped them as authors. And so Linda had mentioned before, there's just a lot to cover. So we're going to save questions for the end. We're saving some time for that. But if you do have something that occurs to you while they're presenting, just go ahead and put it in the chat, and I'll make sure that we get to that at the end. But I want to save as much time as possible, so I'd like to turn it over to Charlotte and Don.
You mentioned contests first, so I guess I'll go ahead. We decided to divide it up into contests and promos and consultants. And one of the things, and most of you may have already entered contests and maybe won them, but one of the questions, when you first start writing is whether or not you want to enter contests, and if so, which ones you want to enter. And I admit that when I started out, I had a goal. And my goal was simply to have every book that I wrote win something. And I have managed to accomplish that, but I've learned a lot more about what that, quote, something should look like over the years. And one of the things that I want to address, I guess there are 3 things. First of all, which contests may you want to enter, how you judge whether or not a contest is even worth entering. And then finally, are contests in general worth it? And the first thing I wanted to look at was, when people judge contests and whether or not they're worthwhile to get into, the reviewers usually look at 3 things. They look at whether or not you have to pay to get into the contest. They look at, how the contest is run in terms of judging. And then the bottom line is they always want to know whether or not the people that have entered are actually, in the right genres. So the first thing that I looked at was this issue of fees. And when you look at reviewers of contests, they frequently will say that if you have to pay a fee, it isn't a good contest. Well, if you can find very many contests that are totally free, I hope you'll tell us about them, because almost all the contests that I've entered charge something, whether it's $10 or whether it's $100. And I think that that's a little deceptive too, because at least in the mystery field, there are quite a few conferences where you have to be at the conference and get voted on by peers in order to win. Like the McCavity, the Lefty, the Anthony, and those are three of the biggies. In a contest costs a lot less than going to a conference. So I don't think just because it requires a fee should rule it out. The second part that they're often criticized for is if they don't list the judges so that you can't see who is specifically judging the contest. And again, I think that's a little deceptive, because the first year that I placed in a contest, I was asked to be a judge. And I know quite a few other very inexperienced authors who also have been asked to judge in contests. And so whether or not you're listed is really, I think, less significant than the experience. So what I've decided, when I've been trying to figure out which contests are the best to enter, I do look at the reviews, but most importantly for me, I look at who has won in the past. And I know that takes a little extra effort, but if you look at who has won in the past, you can decide, I think, pretty quickly if that's a group that you want to be included in. So even though it may cost something, even though, you may not know who all the judges are, or if you know who they are, you may not think that they're worth judging your work, you still, have another option, which is to see who has won in the past and decide if that's a group that you want to be listed with. So the other thing that I think is worth knowing, and I will post some of the URLs, is just having lists of contests. And there are several lists that I think are really helpful. And one of them is specifically for mysteries. And then there are three others that are a little more generic. And one of those lists that I will post actually reviews the various contests. And if they think they're iffy, they'll list iffy. And if you win an iffy contest, it might be helpful to know at least why it was iffy. And usually it is the cost, but it also could be that they try to promote selling you stickers or, promos, et cetera, immediately after. And there's at least one contest that I won't name that both Don and I have placed in that is really annoying in terms of what they try to sell you afterwards. Just recently, I did enter a contest, though, that actually I had never heard of it. It was called the Story Trade Awards. And then I received an actual little medal on a little, lanyard to wear, and stickers for all the books that, that I'm probably never going to, publish in any, try to sell in any location. But I thought it was kind of amusing, because I don't know where you wear a medal around your neck, but it still made me feel kind of good. So what can I say? Maybe I should wear it at Christmas or something and have people ask me what it is. But really, when you come down to it for contests, the bottom line is really, is it worth entering a contest? And I have really done a lot of research trying to figure out if there is any correlation between a particular contest and a sales bump. And unfortunately, that isn't something that you see analyzed too often. And I can honestly say that for me, when I set that goal, I wanted to be able to say in anything that I put out there that I was an award-winning author. And if that's egotistical, I don't know, but I just, I'd see that out there with other authors, and I really wanted to be able to say that. And I didn't feel I could say it until I'd won several, awards. And and you can't even list awards very easily any place. I mean, even when someone asks you to write a blurb for them and you want to say who you are in just that one little line that they give you, you really can't put too much. So what I'd really like to be able to say is New York Times best-selling author, but that's, I'm afraid, a long way off. So anyway, that was one of the reasons I did it. The other way in which I use awards is I have a fairly extensive email list that I've compiled, over the years. And I use it to kind of have an excuse to send out an email. I also post on social media. I do a lot of posting on Facebook, which I don't have that many followers. I have quite a few followers on X, which was Twitter, and I'm on one of those tracks where I don't get or do anything political. When I first signed up, someone advised me how to sign up so that it's just, I seems to me like I mainly interact with readers, writers, and publishers, and agents, and people that are associated with the profession. And I usually get a couple of hundred responses and maybe 5 or 10 clicks at the most, but I still do that because I think it's important to kind of like get your name, out there. I personally feel that if you've won a few awards, that it gives you some credibility just to readers. And I know that some awards are a lot more important than others to win. And it's funny, I can't remember if I mentioned that, some of the biggies, you actually have to be a networker and you have to, I did mention that. Okay. Repeat myself there. But I think that even though I can't prove it, I think that one of the things that being able to have awards attached to your name does is I think it helps with the sustainability of sales. And I have noticed just tiny bumps in sales for certain awards, depending on how I've let people know that I've won it. And I will tell you the only real research that I've read that somebody did, it was a nonfiction writer, and I can't remember his name. It was several years ago. And he decided he was going to test it by entering every contest he could. He just put aside some money, entered just every contest he could. And then he tracked, his, placements and winnings, et cetera. He actually placed in about a quarter of the contests that he entered. And he tried then to track whether or not, and he got sales bumps from any of those. And he concluded that the bumps, if he got them, were so little, which is my experience also, that it didn't really pay off overall. But what he said is something that I believe too, that writing is such a solitary experience, even though Don and I are in the same room when we're writing, it still feels kind of solitary. And when you see that congratulations come up on your email, it's just kind of a morale boost. So I don't know that it's cost effective. I will, like I say, show you all of these contests that you can enter if you haven't already. And I would just say that, pick and choose a few that you think you'd feel real proud to win or to place in. And at the very least, you'll be an award-winning author, and hopefully you'll get some sustainability of sales and an occasional ego boost. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah.
Well, Chris suggested that some of you might like to hear about the experience that we had hiring a consultant. We were, up until a couple of years ago, I guess you had published a self-published book on interviews some years ago.
Yeah.
And I, about a year and a half ago, published a science fiction book, self-published, but otherwise it's all been through indie publishers. And we got, at least speaking for myself, I got pretty frustrated as that time went by. It seemed as though anything that I wanted to do to promote the book became impossible. If you wanted to reduce the price, oh my God, they're reducing the price, or you know what I mean? The bottom line was really got kind of frustrating. And so when we published Midnight for Justice, we decided to do that, to self-publish that. And I think Charlotte saw a seminar put on by Jeff Avlick.
I had to go twice. It was for how to do Amazon ads. And even after 2 times, I wasn't sure.
It's so complicated. Anyway, so that's how she caught up on, learned about Jeff Affleck. And so we went ahead and hired him. And Chris thought you might like to hear a little bit about that experience. Basically, I think his prices have gone up, but it was costing us about $1,000 a month to hire him. And for the months that we hired him, we kind of focused on points in time when we've needed him, or we're doing that. I think his prices also may have gone up because we don't have him he doesn't have us as a client at the moment. But basically, what he does, what you get for that $1,000 over the course of a month is you get, first of all, you get access to him, and he's really good about access. I'm sure there are lots of, this is the only guy we know about, so I can't really speak to other consultants or how they work or what they cost. But so all I really know about is Jeff. But he basically, over the course of that month, you have a weekly Zoom meeting with him. So you've got his immediate attention for 45 minutes each week during that. You've also got a weekly meeting that he conducts with maybe 20 or 30 of his clients, who I might add are really kind of an impressive group that cover every conceivable corner of publishing. So he's not really specialized on anything fiction or nonfiction and any genres. It's just everything is included in that group, and kind of a really impressive group. Those group meetings are set up so people ask Jeff questions, and then about their work, about their book, about their writing, and he answers, and marketing, and he answers those questions. He is a market specialist. That's basically what his education and training is. So he gives you basically that weekly call with the group, which I found pretty useful, and then also a weekly conference call with him. And then access, and the access, our experience was the access was great. Anytime we had questions for him, emails we'd send him, he responded quite readily and happily. And as we hired him just as Midnight for Justice was about to be published. And so he was able to help us with kind of every aspect of the process, including all of the stuff at the beginning. So stuff having to do with the appearance of the cover, the art, the title, the keywords in the subtitle, the keywords and genres, categories in the Amazon KDP listing. All of that was stuff that he helped us with, and helped us really from start to finish. He helped us kind of organize our friends and family at the outset to get a few early reviews in a fashion that was acceptable, hopefully verified Amazon reviews. And of course, he does Amazon ads curation. So if you want to have an ad running, that's another $197. He's got a person on staff that does that. If you've got an ad running, they will curate it for you. Basically, watch what's happening to it, make sure that you're getting adequate clicks for the number of exposures, making sure you're in the right categories, using the right keywords, all that stuff. So that's also very helpful. And I would say that's probably kind of a key expertise for Jeff as well. So we had all of that kind of access. He also, as we got the book in place and published, he helped us make sure that our Amazon page was appropriate, basically looking for what he claims to be about a 10% click to purchase ratio. So he looks for every click that you get on your Amazon product page, that you get at least for every 10, you get at least one order. And we've pretty much managed to do that. He, I would say, steered us into going ahead and doing Amazon Unlimited, which of course means that you can't do ebooks with Ingram. But you have, what we found is that about I would say 10%. Is that about sound about right? Of our sales are through Amazon Unlimited. It's pretty robust. And so I feel like that was a good decision. And I think it produces, also produces some reviews, although my understanding is they're unverified.
Stop. You didn't mention that we had a month-long launch plan from him.
Yeah, he laid it all out on paper for us. Do this at this point in time, do that next. So when we launched the book, about 2 weeks later, we kind of did what he called a soft launch. About 2 weeks later, we did written word media promo stack for the book at 99 cents. We're talking the ebook. Almost all of this was had to do with the ebook. And then about a month later, we did a free promo. And for authors, for us, getting more than 3 or 4 reviews on a book, 3 or 4 ratings, is kind of significant. I mean, we've not been all that successful at breaking through. Since then, we've accomplished it. We've managed to do better. On this book, we had probably a dozen reviews within the first week, and then they just grew from that point forward. I should say ratings on Amazon. From that point, they just grew constantly. The book, after having gone through that kind of initial process with the 2 promos, the 99-cent promo and the free promo, about a month and a half from the start, we had, at the end of that time, we had about, I think probably of our total orders, probably maybe 8,000, 6,000 to 8,000 of them were free books. Sam, I got that right? Or
I thought it was lower than that.
maybe 6, maybe more like 6.
Yeah.
But now we're up to 11 or 12,000 orders. So it's pretty clear that those initial free orders were really helpful in getting a certain sort of ground level interest in and awareness of the book. So I think that those free reviews or those free promotions were very helpful. So that's good. And then since that time, we've run a few promotions, sort of occasionally. We've run an ad with Amazon for a while on Midnight for Justice. And I'd say it's been 8 months now, more or less, going into the 9th month.
January.
It was the beginning of January when we launched it. The book has leveled out at about an overall Amazon sort of ranking of about maybe anywhere from 20 to 35,000. That's about where it levels out, which translates, I think, into about maybe 4 orders a day, something like that. And I probably got this wrong, but at least that's kind of an approximation. I also at the same time did some stuff with Darwin's Dilemma, which is a science fiction book that I had published a year earlier, and that really wasn't doing much. And we did kind of a similar thing with that. And we have not been advertising Darwin. We did a little bit at the start, but have not advertised that one. But it is now hanging in there with maybe anywhere from 120 to 150. Sometimes it spikes down, but then it climbs back up without us doing a lot to promote it. Every now and then we've had, over the course of the last 6 months, I don't think I've done more than one promotion. I'm about to do another. But that translates into about a book a day. At least that's how I kind of am guessing it. And again, they're ebooks. They're not bringing in a lot of revenue because they're not priced very high. But at least it kind of represents, for a first book in a series, it represents a significant sort of baseline. So now, as we're approaching being ready to produce a sequel to Midnight for Justice, we think maybe we're within a month or so of getting that published. We're going to hire Jeff again shortly, and probably, hopefully, walk through kind of a similar process with the new book. We're hoping that the new book will stimulate sales for the book 1, and also the existence of some interest in book 1 will give us a little bit of an edge as we go to promote book 2. So that's kind of the thinking. Whether it works that way, we're going to see. But But those are the kinds of things he helped. He helped us with every aspect of this thing. And just to kind of give you an illustration of that, let me see if I can bring up, let me see if I can
Oh, yeah.
hit share.
First.
And then,
It's right there.
yeah. Okay, so can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because this is our Amazon product page for Midnight for Justice. And you can see that at this point, we've had 528, 528 ratings, which is, I mean, kind of miraculous for us. This is a real, really improved situation. If you look down, you can see that our overall ranking at this point is 32,000, which is kind of typical, in the range of typical. So what Jeff did,
You're going to show them.
yeah. What Jeff did for us, among other things, was to get this page right. And obviously you want to get clicks, but if you're not getting something in the neighborhood of one purchase per every 10 clicks, and you should be doing better. That's basically what he convinced us of. And so it started, he helped us create the title, or the more accurately, the subtitle. So we got some keywords we needed. If you look at this book cover, it's pretty simple, right? It's a legal thriller. So it's got a gavel on it. The art we initially started with was much more complicated and much more sort of nuanced, and had a lot more going on in the picture. Jeff, got us to focus that down. It's a legal thriller, and make it clear that it's a legal thriller. And then also, it turned out I had no idea that the font that you use is in a title on a book cover is critical. And the thinking there apparently is that if you finally do click on something, and heaven forbid, thank God you got somebody to click on your page. If they look there and they see something that they're looking for, a legal thriller, and they see something that looks like a romance, or looks like science fiction, or looks like who knows what, they're gone. I mean, they're history. They're out of there before anything else has even happened. And so you've lost one. So making sure that they see what they expect to see. They're looking for a legal thriller, and that's what they see. That was kind of a lesson that I would say we learned from Jeff. And then, of course, as you can see, we've got these the legal Navy officer, and then the woman holding the AK-47 rifle. And so you kind of get that there's something unusual and different. Hopefully that captures a little bit of interest. So that was the idea. But when we started out, this was way more complicated than this. And I think it was greatly improved. And then Jeff also helped us with this material that we have, and in terms of its, the product description. And you'll see what we did here.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
One of the things that we used to focus on for the product description was more of a summary. We wanted people to understand the content. Jeff said, no, you don't care as much about the content as you do about the sell. And that's really had a big impact on me. I still care about the content, but I see it now as a selling opportunity, which I never did before.
Yeah. Then the other thing that he did, so he helped us with that. And I would say, and then the next thing he helped us with, maybe another kind of, is what they call A+ content. And maybe you guys are all familiar with it, but you're allowed on your product page to do something like this, which in our case involves, some hopefully capturing lines and some interesting, visuals. And then we got some reviews and stuff that we included down at the end. But all that stuff of getting that product page looking right, that was all stuff that he helped us accomplish. And I think that was, from our point of view, at this point, I feel I'd be a lot stronger position going ahead on our own. And I also suspect that some of this stuff is stuff that you guys are pretty familiar with, because I'm aware you've got a lot of experience in this room. But
And
all of that was stuff that Jeff helped us with and it kind of launched us down the road with. And I feel like it made a difference and is making a difference.
And can I add one thing? There's something that occurred to me that had never occurred to me until listening to Don talk about this. I actually have two books that I can compare. One that's with a small publisher. It's a book, what I call a Jonah St. Clair book, because I can't claim it was a series because I didn't like the way they were promoting my book. And so I asked if I could have the second book back, and they let me. And so what we have done with the second book is we have used Jeff's process, I have to promote it. And the difference in sales is really quite remarkable. Although one of the things I have noticed is that every time I do a promo, the other book gets some sales. But I probably sell for the book that they are holding, maybe like one book every 3 or 4 weeks. And I do 4 or 5 a day with the book that I have promoted through Jeff. And I do think part of that is synergy. I think once you get one book like Midnight for Justice, which is kind of taking off a little bit, I mean, not, tremendously, but taking off a little bit, I think it helps all the books. So I just thought I'd mention.
Let me just add one other thing. I have a mystery series set at the Washington State Legislature, published through Epicenter Press. And the first one has, I'm probably got it wrong. You'll look and correct me, but I don't think there's more than about 6 or 7 reviews on the first book. The second one had maybe a few more. The third one now has been out for 6 months or so, 5. It's got something like 3 or 4 reviews, and it's just, or I should say ratings, but it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating because every time I want to promote that book or do anything to promote that book, I basically am stymied by Epicenter's great. They were very good to me, and I don't want to complain about them, but I think it's true of the business plan of small indie publishers. Makes it very difficult for them to work well with the author in getting the book actually promoted. And the difference between those 3 books, which, you'd hope, I did a lot of work on those freaking books. I sent 7 bazillion emails. I mean, I did a lot of work. And the difference between that and this 500 some ratings and big difference. And I'm convinced they're all wonderful. Don't get me wrong. They're all wonderful books. But there's nothing that's that much better about Midnight for Justice than there is for any of the other books that we wrote. It is all about the promotion that it got. Yeah. So let me shut this down.
Yeah.
Okay. So questions, I guess?
So I just want to take them in order. Joan had a number of questions, and she asked, first of all, how much Jeff charged, and I think Gail, you had responded that Don mentioned $1,000 per month. So if there's anything different there, do you want to add to that, Don?
Yeah, that's what we paid, but that was like, January, February, March, along in there. I believe he's raised, and we're not sure, but I believe he's raised, it's higher now. It might be 1,500 or something. So I think it's gone up.
Okay. And can an author do an ebook promo on Amazon without using a consultant like Jeff?
Yes.
And one of the things that's very difficult is that all the algorithms are very difficult to understand, how they use them. And once you start watching somebody go through that process, which what he did during those weekly meetings, if someone asked about their ad, he would pull their ad up for everybody to look at, and then he would show you what they were doing and how they were tweaking and which line was going this way. And I mean, it's really very complicated. I think that if you care, you can learn. And also, I just want to say that Jeff is one of the people that does free webinars on Amazon ads. And there are a number of others that do. And that's a good way, number one, to learn about the ads themselves. And number two, you may find somebody you really like that you want to hire as a consultant that way, because that's why they're doing all those free webinars.
Yeah, you can learn about it on the webinars. I just honestly find it really complicated and difficult. And
we don't have enough years left.
I feel like I'm learning about it, but I also feel very intimidated by it. And having some help is really important.
BookBub ads, on the other hand, are real easy to do, but you don't get as much money, I think, out of them.
So did he build those ads for you?
Yeah, we worked on the language and that sort of thing, but it wasn't a lot of by build. There wasn't a lot of creative. It's the book cover, basically. It's the book cover and
for the ad,
and then maybe a line or something beneath it. But the ads aren't really complicated.
Okay.
Am I right?
Well,
I thought you were talking about the Amazon ads.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there's a couple more here in the chat, and then we'll just open it up and everyone can ask their own questions since they're starting to come in. Let's see. For Don, those additional graphics on your product page, and anyone can add those to their product page, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. And Charlotte, actually, I haven't yet done it, but Charlotte has done it. You can get the graph. If Jeff has an artist that'll do covers, and he did some of those graphics. I've forgotten on which one.
He did
was both of them for Darwin and
yeah, he did both.
So yeah, he has an artist that does graphics can do your cover and everything else and can do those graphics. But Charlotte did it with
yeah, I've done it with a number of them because I didn't want to continue paying. And I have BookBrush, and I know you can also do it on Canva. And what they have the templates. And so what you have to do then is come up with the pictures that you want to put in. And once you start looking at how other people do it, you kind of know what you want. And I loved doing it, so I will probably continue doing my own.
Okay, I think you had mentioned being or hiring Don for 3 months. Someone asked about how long you were Jeff, how long you were clients of Jeff.
Yeah, I think it was about 3 or was it 4?
And you mentioned that but it sounds like you can hire him on and off.
Oh yeah, we're going to go back. Him. Yeah, and we told him that we were going to come back to him for the sequel because we want him to help us with that. Although I actually feel like now that I know his process, I can do it to some extent on my own. In fact, I feel pretty good overall. It's just that we're really hopeful for the sequel, so we're going to spend a little more money.
I do think he trained us up. I mean, I feel like at this point we could do a launch and get most of it right. But he did such a smooth, nice, flawless job when he did it in the first time around. I really want to see that happen again.
And can you do an ebook promotion after the book has been out for a while?
Oh yeah. If maybe most of you guys are familiar with written word media, but among the things that there are several promotions, right? There's several private websites that have people that do promotions, very free booksy. So name some of them. Fussy Librarian,
Book Adrenaline, Book Butterfly.
There's just a host
on
of
and on and on.
What the thing that written word media does that's really pretty cool is they do what they call a stack. You can go on there and you can say you're looking for a science fiction promotion for a science fiction book. They'll offer up various stacks that might have 3, 4, or 5 promotions, and they'll maybe be over a 3 or 4 or 5 day period that they'll do this separate days, so you can kind of tell which one's working and which one isn't, and then they'll charge you sort of a lump sum, so you can get like a 3 or 4 or 5 day stack, and the price may be anywhere from, I don't know, under $100 or maybe a little bit over 100 to 3 or 4, or maybe as much as $500 if you want to spend it. And our experience is they work. I mean, you get a result. And it's like, I guess we have not tried real hard to compare how much money we were making in sales with how much money we were spending on promotions. So I feel like if we get to the point where we can actually begin thinking about that, we're approaching the level of success, because for me, the success would be the point where it tips over that you're making a little bit more money than you're spending. But anyway, the bottom line is it does work. It works, and it works significantly. You feel pretty satisfied that you actually got something for your money when you do it, at least for us.
Yeah, right now we're calling it our cruise, our winter cruise.
Yeah, that's our vacation money.
Gail, do you feel that answered your question? Okay. So Linda asked if you mentioned paying additional for specific services on Amazon, and also can you post Jeff's name and website?
Yeah, I think it's just jeffaffleck.com. AFFLEC.
It's GEOFF though.
GEOFFAFFLECK. Jeffaffleck.com. The question.
He's Canadian, by the way.
Yeah, he lives up in.
And there are several that are, US based that also are doing this similar things, but yeah.
The other part of the question had to do with various services on Amazon.
Right. Did you pay for additional for specific services on
with
Amazon?
Jeff?
Maybe.
Do you mean for publication? I mean for self-publication?
Linda, this is your question. Would you like to?
Yes.
To clarify your question?
That something about you helped with an ad campaign or something. You mentioned 190 something odd dollars.
Oh, yes. So yes, Jeff has a staff person who curates those ads, and her services cost $197 a month. That's in addition to the cost of the ad, right? So you're going to spend some significant money for the ad, and then that $200 a month, which also adds up pretty quickly. So whether it's worth it or not is an open question. It probably depends on a lot of stuff. But we did want to run an ad for midnight for a while, so we've been doing that for a while now. But I think you can do that if you stop doing the ad, and you can do the ad yourself without hiring her. And if you've got like Publisher Rocket and you've got some savvy, I'm pretty sure you can figure that out. Figure out what it is that makes those ads work, and what keywords work, and what sort of categories work, and how to make it all come together. But it is complicated. At least I feel it's pretty.
I didn't know how complicated it was until he started talking about the algorithms and drilling down in terms of all the subcategories and and one of the things he did for us was he played around with the subcategories so that we could hit the number one in a particular category. And what I never knew was that there are reasons why sometimes you see somebody in this really tiny category. It's because when they're in that category, when your book comes up on Amazon, it says bestseller. And so we were bestsellers, and we've been bestsellers off and on in legal procedures, which you would think is strictly nonfiction. And about half of it are people writing legal thrillers who who are using that as a way to become a quote bestseller and attract readers.
And in our own defense, I want you to know we did not put it there. Amazon freaking put it there.
Oh, no, Jeff found it.
No.
Oh, I thought he found it.
No, that was Amazon put us there. It was a strictly fluke and a kind of a surprise. But there are categories that are much less competitive where you would logically fit. If you're a little creative about thinking about it. And the difference is if you're like 437 and you pull up a category, let's say you pull up legal thrillers. If your ranking is 400 or something, if you're down at the bottom of the page, you'd have to scroll for pages and pages through all those ads to see your ad. It's basically meaningless. But if you're like sort of number 1 through 10, you might be right there at the bottom of the page when somebody opens that category, and that's a biggie. That's a huge benefit, because you're one of the things they see. Anybody that goes to that category is going to see your book there. So it makes to be competitive in those categories makes a big difference. You mentioned the other thing that Jeff hires or would pay and did a couple of times was like for his visual artist, the artist that did because it was his guy that did the A+ content that we had on the Amazon on the Midnight for Justice page, and we paid separately for that, but a pretty reasonable price.
Yeah, I think that was $115.
Yeah, for not I think the guy is in India or somewhere.
Yeah,
but he does nice work.
So Don and Charlotte, is all of the promotion done through Amazon? Is all of the selling through Amazon? Or are you promoting and selling elsewhere?
We no, bottom line is for us, we've just done it through Amazon, merely.
Well, we do the paperbacks show up because they're through
the books are being sold. We do the paperback books are being sold through Ingram Spark, and so that's all happening, as well as the Amazon paperbacks. But all of the ebook stuff, we made a choice with respect to several of our books to use Amazon Unlimited.
You probably know, though, that 70% of all the books in the United States are sold through Amazon.
Yeah. So,
and the other thing that I hadn't realized is that, for example, for me, about 3 to 10% is from Canada, the UK, Germany, Italy, Australia. I had no idea.
And English,
and they're still in English. But one of the things you can do is you can go into those websites for the different countries and you can put in your A+ pictures. And that, once I did that, I found that, and it was really a pain to do. But anyway, once I did that, I found that those numbers for different countries went up.
So Amazon Canada, Amazon UK, Amazon.
And I had never
Italy,
even looked at those before. I don't know if all of you do or not, but I hadn't. But now I'm very aware. I mean,
we've been doing this, we've been doing the other stuff as well. We've been doing author presentations and other kinds of our own email lists and stuff as well. But
and I still run promos for some of my traditional publishers. It's just that it takes a lot because you have to ask them, to reduce the price for a certain amount of time. You have to make sure it's all coordinated with what you do. And it's just more of a pain. And I work with Level Best. They're very good about it. But it's still, it takes a lot more time and coordination.
Maybe I could add one other thing.
Yeah.
And that is, one of the things that neither of us wants is to spend a lot of time doing promotion.
Yeah.
We just don't want to do that. And we realized if we were a good many years younger, we might be more inclined to spend whatever percentage of our lives are left to engage in that activity, but we really want to write. And so we've really tried hard it doesn't sound like it from the conversation we're having here, but we've really tried hard not to allow all this promotion stuff to consume us. And some of these things that we've described to you really aren't that hard to do. Some of them are really hard to do, but that we just don't even want to try. But some of them aren't that hard to do, right? Doing an occasional promotion through written word media is not that costly, and it isn't that hard to do, and it doesn't consume your life. So that's been a consideration for us as well.
And just one other thing, talking about age, I had a 3-book contract for my revenge series. That's what I call it. And I looked at their publication, calendar, and I decided I just didn't want to wait that long because, they're like a year out and then 2 years out and then 3 years out. And so I told them, I said, I'm sorry, I'm getting too old to wait that long. And so could I have my contract back? And they were very nice and very understanding about it. And so I've already published one. I could do 3 in a year now if I wanted to. So for me, that was, just kind of an aha, an aging process thing.
Thanks. So a couple of things before we forget. Charlotte, you had about 4 websites that you wanted to post regarding the contests.
Yeah, go to the share, and maybe the easiest right there.
This?
Yeah, maybe the easiest thing would just be let you do a screen.
So do people see that?
No. We can see the paper, but it's written so small, we can't read.
Yeah, but that isn't they'd have to,
Can
can you
you just copy the whole thing with your mouse, then go in?
and then put it in a comment
And put it in the chat.
in the chat? Is that what you're saying?
Copy that
Yeah.
and then go into the chat.
Okay, so let's give that a try here.
Okay.
You have to get rid of that
I have to
page.
get rid of that thing.
Yeah.
That will show up in the recording. Linda, won't that show up in the recording if it's in the chat?
Be able to read it.
Yeah, it's over here. You got it.
Yeah, I got it over here. So message everyone. So let's see what happens. Paste. Yes, there it is.
There, that was too easy.
So there they all are in the chat.
Yeah, and one of them is focused on mysteries. The others aren't. The one right after the award ratings, that one shows you how frequently somebody would rate a particular thing. Yeah.
Now,
So
the chat will not show up in the recording on YouTube, but I always type in, text, and I can type that in there.
oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do a screenshot. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are
Yeah.
more lists than this, but these are sources that I think are pretty good.
Yeah. And I can send those to you too, Linda, so you don't have to
Yeah.
type them.
When I upload to YouTube, upload the video, then there's a note area where I describe the meeting and all that, and I could type those sites in. See what I'm saying? When I upload to YouTube later, Chris, are you hearing me?
No.
You can't hear me anymore?
I can hear you. Just
when
what did you say? I'm going to be quiet. You repeat it.
When I upload to YouTube, I enter a description of the meeting, and I can type this stuff in there on the YouTube description.
Okay.
People who view it later will be able to see it, okay?
Okay.
But you can do whatever you want with it now, and I will have it so I can send it out with an email if you want me to. Just, the text.
Okay.
It's up to you. You don't have the mailing, so that's all I'm saying.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I just sent it out to everybody on the mailing list, so no biggie.
Okay. Well, are there any other questions that anyone has? I think somebody had a question about written word media. We might not all be familiar with that.
Yeah, just generally,
You can Google it.
yeah, you'll pick it up right. That's the name and it'll come right up. And
Okay.
basically what's so useful, we found so useful about written word media is that they will they basically have a relationship with all of these various other promotions. So you can schedule like 4 or 5 different companies, different promotions over, say, a 3 or 4 or 5 day period, just with kind of one click, one description, one click, and those promotions will all run. It'll has to be in a category. There's a price and there's a, a type of promotion. You have to pick the promotions that you want, but they have them all there listed together as what they call stacks, and it allows you to do 3, 4, 5 promotions all at one time, basically by buying them all in one place. And it just makes it a great deal easier than having to go to 4 or 5 different websites and then hope that you schedule one and then can you schedule the other one for the same time? And oh my gosh, you can't. And now what? That kind of thing. So it makes the written word media thing really makes it all a great deal easier. I should say written word media, I think also has a book review thing.
Yeah,
you guys, I assume you guys are all familiar with Pubby and with the book review exchanges, because that was another thing that has helped us where we felt like we weren't quite getting the number of reviews we wanted to get. If you go to Pubby, and I think there's others, in fact, I know there are others.
Yeah, there are quite a few.
But if you go to like Pubby and list your book, you can, by reading other people's books, earn credits to have other people read and review your book.
Yeah.
And
But it isn't one-on-one.
It's not one-on-one. It's
No.
all anonymous, so nobody knows who gave what review or what. So it's all pretty legit. But and you can, those can be if they'll purchase your book, which isn't all that difficult if it's a relatively modestly priced ebook. But if they'll purchase your book, you'll get a verified review. And if they don't, you can get an unverified review in any case. And it's helpful. It can be helpful.
Is that PUBBY?
Exactly. Pubby.com. And
I've even read coloring books, if you could believe it, for points. There were reasons why I did it, but I mean, I've read books on tattoos and apothecaries, and I mean, all sorts of nonfiction books that were just fun titles to read, and as well as fiction. You can read full fiction books too, but the points are relatively easy and interesting to accrue.
Anyone have anything else?
well, thank you guys. I hope we haven't bored you with a bunch of stuff you already knew, but
Yeah.
Jill,
Hi, this is coincidental, but I'm reading your book, Secret Places.
oh, thank
And
you.
Chris had loaned it to me, and it's really good. I'm like quarter of the way through. It's very pleasant.
And you should know that the cover was designed by one of our fishing partners.
Yeah, it's the cover
Really?
is actually the picture on the cover is Gordy Peterson, who was a fishing partner of ours, and the artist is his wife.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun.
That is so cool. I grew up in a fishing town, and so this is all ringing very true to me.
Oh, I'm glad. That's who we really want. This was a significant 10 years of our life that we spent up there, and so a pretty significant piece of our life and very, very memorable time. A lot of that, I have to say, a lot of that book was actually written probably back in the 80s.
Cool. Nice work.
I'm going to make a short announcement. We'll have Gail Bergen here at our Wednesday night meeting in a couple of weeks, and we're doing her book launch. So be sure and watch for the notices on that, okay?
Well, Charlotte and Don, thank you so much. You shared a lot of great information with us today.
Thank you guys. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm still here if you need me, Chris.
Okay, I just wanted to see how it went. What did you think?
I think it was fine. How about you guys? What'd you think? Well, you're muted. You can nod.
About halfway through, my glass of water spilled across my desk
Oh, no, goodness sake. You look so
and onto the floor and onto my lap.
you,
Well, you carried
Oh
on
my
just
God.
beautifully.
Thanks.
was so
Oh, wow. Well, I hope there was some information that helped people, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to catch up with Dawn and meet Charlotte in person.
that would be great. Yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you, guys.
Whoever can make it to
You're
the
welcome.
thing on the 13th, the Saturday, Margaret, I'll have your, if you make it to the meeting house, I will have your 20 copies of the chapbook.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah.
I love that. On the, what day did you say? The 13th?
Saturday, the 13th, and yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Hope to see you there.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, y'all. Bye, Joyce.